Previously on the best bits, best Star Trek scene.
We don't have much time. Ensign Deadman, you take a look at the lingerie section, see if anything would fit me.
Aye, aye, Captain.
Are we breaking the Prime Directive by being in pennies?
We are. It's also 1986.
Oh, shit.
What?
He's dead, Will. Let's get out of here before we get rounded up as two whales.
Well, at least we can save the future twice.
Podbot, 2 to beam up.
Dead man to pod booth, come in, over. Dead man to podbot. Captain, anybody? Well, this is just fucking shite. What am I gonna do left in 1986? What am I gonna do left? This is not over. What am I gonna do left in 1986? Just you wait. You dirty liners. 1986.
Ensign Deadman, you take a look in the lingerie section, see if anything would fit me.
Aye, aye, Captain.
Podbot, 2 to beam up.
It tickles.
Will,
Kevin,
do you ever get deja vu?
I've ordered it a few times, and I love it in chicken flavour. Tikka chicken deja vu. Just beautiful.
Will,
Yes.
do you ever get deja vu?
I do, yeah. I have ordered it a few times.
That's so strange. I've just got it right there. That's so weird. I feel like I've done this before. Let's get into it.
Why not?
What else are we gonna do? Right?
Yeah, fuck that shit.
Fuck that.
The best bits.
I'll use small words that you'll be sure to understand, you warthog thing.
Well, this is just fucking shite. What am I gonna do left in 1986? Oh, I know. I get my revenge.
Don't call me stupid.
Hello and welcome to The Best Bits, a movie podcast where we pick our favourite scenes from randomly selected weirdly specific themes. This is your co-host Kevin, a writer of 3 unproduced time travel films. And I'm not triggered by this topic at all, and I'm joined by a writer of 4 films, plus a Christmas special and a Star War. Sorry, did I say 4? Oh, hang on.
Yeah, not 4.
That's the intro from the future.
What?
Will Collins.
What do you mean?
And we're also joined by Podbot. Say hello, Podbot.
Wished, will ya? I'm watching your levels and there's something weird about this timeline.
She sounds exactly the same. Good old Podbot.
Yeah.
Will, we're doing time travel.
We sure are.
Yes, we are.
I'm excited to be doing time travel because time travel is something that's impossible for us humans currently.
You sure about that, Will?
Yes.
If you had the ability to time travel, would you want to go back in time, forward in time, or freeze time?
I think forward in time.
Forward?
I think it'd be fun to go forward into the future and see what the fuck is going on. How are things in 100 years' time? That'd be great.
The thing that I have noticed by looking at all these time travel movies, and I gotta say up front now, I have plugged as many holes as I possibly can, and I've also watched a lot of films. And I have watched a fuck ton of time travel movies. I feel overwhelmed to talk about them because it's such an expansive topic. And there's kind of 4 types of time travel movies. And the recurring theme that I've noticed with a lot of time travel movies is that they deal with regret.
Of course.
So it's about fixing something in the past.
Why don't we discuss the classic one first of all? Characters going back in time.
There are way more movies about characters going back in time. Way more. And I think it has to do with production values. Because I noticed when they do characters going forward in time, the movie begins set in the past and they go forward in time right up until the time that they shot the film. So you've got like the Philadelphia experiment.
The Philadelphia experiment. They opened a hole in time, and it stayed open.
Good God, there it is.
Or Forever Young.
He took the chance of a lifetime.
Freeze a human being.
He never imagined where it would take him.
Yeah.
There's not that many that actually go into the future and you see the future. But okay, movies where you go back in time. Can I rule out some, first of all, that we don't want to talk about?
Go on.
Or I don't want to talk about. Superhero ones. Because we've covered stuff like X-Men Days of Future Past.
So I wake up in my younger body, God knows where. Then what?
We've done Star Trek, First Contact and The Voyage Home.
Mm-hmm. Avengers Endgame have a big one.
Here we go. Time travel test number 1. Scott, fire up the van thing.
Superman the movie, where he goes back in time, or he flies around the world to turn back time. So I think we can leave those ones aside, and also Terminator and Terminator 2.
Fuck you, asshole.
Yeah.
We love those films. They're great. They're fantastic time travel stories. But do we really want to talk about them again?
No, we want to talk about films we haven't spoke about before.
Well, you give me one. What ones have you seen that you enjoyed recently?
I'll do a back in time one. That was one of my homework films that came up on a lot of lists.
Do you know those lists, Will? You can't trust them.
No, you can't trust them. I told you this morning, I said The Guardian, in their top 20 time travel films, they have The Tomorrow War.
Yeah.
That Chris Pratt film. And I went, what? This is like number 7 best time travel film? Like, this is The Guardian, for God's sake. That's not a good film.
I'm sorry about that.
One that is a back in time film is called Predestination.
What if I could put him in front of you? The man that ruined your life. Would you kill him? By the time you listen to this, 7 years will have passed. Here you are, at the beginning of your new life. It can be overwhelming, knowing the future.
So what, you're a cop?
I'm a temporal agent. We prevent crime before it takes place.
What is it?
It's a time machine. Don't ever exceed the jump limit. It can be problematic. If you ever want to stop the Fizzle Bomber, you'll never get another chance. Time, it catches up with us all. You can do this.
What are you saying? What's that got to do with me?
You're the only one given to the world through a paradox. You must lay the seeds for the future. I know where I come from, but where do all you zombies come from? What if I could put him in front of you? Would you kill him?
So Predestination basically is Ethan Hawke's character, who's this temporal agent, and he's sent on a series of time travel journeys back to the past to stop future killers from committing their crimes. Okay, so that's his kind of job. And every time he goes back into the past, he's kind of loses his mind a little bit more every time. Written and directed by a writer-director pair, Michael Spierig and Peter Spierig. They did Jigsaw, they did Daybreakers, Winchester, that film as well. It was a dour, grimy, gritty film that had actually a very interesting concept at its core.
Time Cop.
It's, yeah, well, okay, we've got Time Cop.
There's never enough time.
Never enough for what?
To satisfy a woman.
Well, then you never want to miss an opportunity.
I don't want to spoil it, but basically what it plays with is the idea of, the paradoxes. Once you're dealing with time travel films, but like, well, hang on a second, which came first? The chicken or the egg? Who did what to who first, sort of thing.
The grandfather paradox.
René Barjavel was a French journalist and science fiction writer who spent a lot of his time thinking about time travel. In 1943, Barjavel asked what would happen if a man went back in time to a date before his parents were born and killed his own grandfather. With no grandfather, one of the man's parents would never have been born, and therefore the man himself would never have existed. So there would be nobody to go back in time and kill the grandfather in the first place, or the last place, depending on how you look at it.
The scene I really like from this film, though, is a scene where Ethan Hawke's character has gone back to the 1970s to try and intercept this future bomber, okay? And he's working in a dingy New York bar as a bartender. He feels like he's done this a million times because he works the bar like he's been there for 20 years. And in walks this mysterious, cynical character who sits at the end of his bar, and Ethan Hawke kind of engages him as a normal customer. And the character at the end of the bar kind of says, "Do you want to hear the best story you've ever heard?" And Ethan Hawke goes, what? And he says, and they make a bet that, $20, this is going to be, I can tell you the best story you've ever heard. And as an audience, I was genuinely leaning in. And what unfolded was this character telling a whole story of this other character's life. I found that quite an interesting little moment in this film about time loops.
Okay.
One thing this job has taught me is that truth is stranger than fiction. Nothing astonishes me anymore.
You don't know what incredible means.
Yeah? Well, try me.
Bet you the rest of that bottle I got the best story you ever heard.
Ones that I watched that when I go back in time. Did you ever see Peggy Sue Got Married?
Oh, I did. That's the one with Nicolas Cage, isn't it?
Yeah, he's a bit annoying in it, but the film itself is quite sweet.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that.
What am I doing here?
You passed out for a minute, that's all.
Oh, Mom. What is going on? You're home now.
What do you think, Peggy Sue?
I'm a grown woman with a lifetime of experiences you can't understand.
Girls mature faster than guys. Digital, watches, and miniature television sets.
Oh, and huge radios. I mean, for some reason, everything else gets tiny, but portable radios get enormous. I could be trapped here forever.
Change your destiny. Marry me.
Will you marry me?
I don't want to marry anyone, Richard.
Why not?
Francis Ford Coppola?
Yeah, it's a weird one for him.
Yeah.
She faints at her high school reunion and she goes back in time to when she's a teenager. And all of the other characters, they're playing themselves, but they're still the ages that they were. So you've got like these 35-year-olds that are playing like teenagers.
Yeah, I liked it.
It reminded me that they used to make movies that were like that, where it was just concept driven and it was just movie star led. Yeah. And it was just about spinning a feel-good yarn. I went back and I watched one of the earliest ones that I could find, and it's La Jetée.
This is the story of a man marked by an image of his childhood. The violent scene which upset him, and whose meaning he was to grasp only years later, happened on the main pier at Orly, Paris airport, sometime before the outbreak of World War III.
Oh, is that the original of The 12 Monkeys?
Yeah, it's the one that inspired 12 Monkeys.
Yeah. They actually included that film on the 2-disc DVD box set, I'm pretty sure, back in the day. So I saw it.
Did they?
Yeah. And the 2-disc DVD version I have, it's on it. So I watched it back then. So I haven't seen it in 25 years.
I just watched it again. It's on YouTube. It's only about 28 minutes long, but it's all told with still photographs. And so these scientists are working on picking out somebody that can handle the shock of going back in time so that they can then send them into the future to prevent the post-apocalyptic world that they're currently in from happening. But it's very interesting and it's worth sort of sticking out. But it is all still pictures, black and white, and it's French as well. So if you can get past the Frenchness of it, it's fascinating.
Fuck off in French. Va te faire foutre.
There's a whole swath of films where characters go from this time period to a time period in the past, like, before they were ever born.
Somewhere in time.
Yeah, somewhere way, way, way in the past,
Army of Darkness.
Yeah, total fish out of water stuff.
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Yeah.
The ones that delight me more are the ones where characters are traveling back in time to their own lives. Like in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, where they time travel back to earlier in the film.
What just happened? Where's Ron?
7:30. Where were we at 7:30?
I don't know, going to Hagrid's?
Come on, and we can't be seen.
Hermione!
They see themselves from a different point of view and they have to trigger events in a certain way so that the story will keep happening and stuff like that.
I love that.
I really enjoy those. I really enjoy those moments where they actually...
I wrote a script like that.
Oh, right. Okay. Right. Is this going to be an episode where Kevin's going through the graveyard of his deceased scripts?
Yeah, why not?
Let's do it.
So this one was called Brink, and it was about the end of the world, and it involved a boy, about 15. The first act, he's just going about having the worst day of his life. He's like fighting with his parents. He's failing his driving test. He is breaking up with his girlfriend.
You're a real pain in the neck.
And he's getting sacked from his part-time job. And that culminates in the end of the world, where an Independence Day type ship blows up the entire planet. But right before that happens, he gets beamed onto the ship and he gets thrown into the brig, and he meets this defective robot called 1010. And 1010 tells him that it's possible to go back in time. You can go back 24 hours, and he knows how to do it. And so him and 1010, they go back in time, and then he has to recreate the worst day of his life in order to get back to a specific point where he can change the course of what happens. So he has to deliberately fail his driving test. He has to deliberately fight with his parents. He has to deliberately break up with his girlfriend. And of course, he's learning all of the life lessons through having to replicate things where he did it wrong the first time and he was an asshole, in order to save the world, or save his world. And that was called Brink. And it was a very fun script.
That's a lovely concept. Because what you're portraying there is the idea that the characters can go back and retroactively observe their own lives from another perspective.
A different vantage point, yeah.
Yeah. And that's interesting. And that's exciting to me as well.
That was my favourite aspect of Back to the Future 2, when they went back to the first film.
Yeah, I love that. That's my favourite sequence. I was going to bring that up. That's my favourite sequence from Back to the Future 2.
That's right, Doc. November 12th, 1955.
Unbelievable that old Biff could have chosen that particular date. It could mean that that point in time inherently contains some sort of cosmic significance, almost as if it were the temporal junction point for the entire space-time continuum. On the other hand, it could just be an amazing coincidence.
Doc, what about Jennifer? What about Einstein? We can't just leave him here.
Don't worry, Marty. Assuming we succeed in our mission, this alternate 1985 will be changed back into the real 1985, instantaneously transforming around Jennifer and Einie. Jennifer and Einie will be fine, and they will have absolutely no memory of this horrible place.
Doc, what if we don't succeed?
Do you remember Primer?
Oh, I do. I watched it and was not a fan.
You were not a fan?
Nope. I did not like Primer. I found Primer to be so arduous, painful to watch, so cold and sterile. I appreciated that it was very ramshackle and, you know, it was handmade and homemade and all that sort of stuff. I just couldn't penetrate into that film in any way. I just felt I just felt so detached from it. Yeah. I just felt really apart from the film. I
just want you to see it the way I saw it.
I am trying, okay? I really am here.
Look, everything we're putting into that box comes ungrounded. And I don't mean grounded like to the earth. I mean not tethered. I mean, we're blocking whatever keeps them moving forward, and so they flip-flop. Inside the box, it's like a street, and both ends are cul-de-sacs. I mean, this isn't frame dragging or wormhole magic. This is basic mechanics and heat 101.
This is not mechanics and heat.
We can publish. Yeah, we can publish. No, I mean, we can really publish. Oh, Aaron, the Weeble's stupid. It can't move. I mean, even if we were to put the Weeble in at point B, it's still just going to bounce around back and forth until it gets kicked out at the B end. But if it were smart, it can enter at the B end and exit at the A end before it flips back. You're talking about making a bigger one. You're talking about making a bigger one. I didn't say anything. You're the one talking about it. So you believe me?
I really enjoyed it, but I didn't revisit it for this because there were so many other ones that I had to get through. And one of them was a film that a friend of mine really, really rates and loves. And he's watched it multiple times over the years. And every time he does, I always point out that I have no interest in watching that film. And he would say, it's a cracker, you've got to watch it. So I put it on the list for this and I endured it, we'll say. And I loved what it was saying and I loved the elements of the story. But I just hate, it's like a song sung by somebody whose voice you can't stand.
Okay, yeah.
But it's a great song.
Right.
And it was about time. The Richard Curtis film.
From the creator of Love Actually.
I'm Tim.
I'm Mary.
My mother's name.
I remind you of your mother?
Son, there's this family secret. The men can travel in time.
Wow.
My son.
My dad.
Love.
It'll be better next time.
And laughter.
Well done. Some people make a real mess of it the first time.
Amateurs.
About time.
You know what? In the cinema, I really enjoyed that film in the cinema.
I am allergic to that aggressively cutesy, twee, faffing about middle-class Englishness.
Yeah.
Permeated with these needle drops that you'd hear on an ITV ad break.
Joe, where's she off? Where are the hydrangeas? How positively gone? They're on credenza. I love. Go get her, Minty. Do be in touch. Love is all you need. What a load of old whiff-waff.
Yeah.
But the story of a guy who learns on his 21st birthday that the men in his family, if they go into a dark place, like a wardrobe or a closet, and they clench really hard, they can flash back to a point in their life and they can, relive the same day twice, or they can change things, or they can meet people that I haven't seen for a while. But they've got to be careful not to change things too much.
Mm-hmm.
So, for instance, they can't go back prior to when their children were born.
Yeah.
And so Donald Gleeson learns he has this ability, and he keeps doing the very typical tropey thing of once you've learned what's about to happen, you then avoid doing anything that will allow that to happen again. So it's like if you trip up and you spill a drink over somebody, you go back to the restaurant and you duck around the waiter so you don't trip up, and it's that stuff. Yeah. But it all culminates with him becoming a father and losing his father. And I thought that was a really beautiful story. It's just, I felt so frustrated by it because I'm like, I can't enjoy it because it's so fucking twee.
Oh, how horrid.
Yeah. Do you want to know something? That film appeared on television and I went, it's on. I should just rewatch it for this episode. And it was the opening scene, opening act when they're at the New Year's Eve party or whatever it was. And I had that irritation to the tweeness as well. I really went, oh God, it's too fucking twee. But I think I remember having the same experience in watching the cinema. But once the story actually went into the whole, followed its narrative plot into the whole time travel stuff, I enjoyed it more and more. And I think I came out feeling quite warm and fuzzy about the film actually by the end. Kind of left the tweeness irritation left me. So I agree with you. I think it's actually a really good story. I think it got a lot of bashing when it came out, but I don't think it's as bad. Yeah, I feel a lot of people were kind of giving it shit for being like, ugh.
I've only ever heard for years that it's a great film and you need to get over your Richard Curtis hate and watch it. And I can't get on with it. It's like Love Actually with time travel.
Yeah, basically, yeah. It's got that vibe, which can be very irksome. Yeah. But I'm glad you watched it.
Irksome, that's a good word for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I watched one as well that I hadn't heard of before, and I enjoyed it. And you might like it even more than me, but it was called The Girl Who Leapt Through Time.
I'm gonna throw.
There's nothing you can hide from me. I can predict everything you're gonna do.
What you experienced was a time leap.
Time leap?
You see, time can never be reversed. So it was you that went back in time.
Oh, I've heard the title. I've not watched the film.
Animated film. So it's about a girl who learns... Well, she doesn't learn.
Let me guess.
She doesn't learn.
Does she go to a restaurant and... No, shit. All right, go on. What's it about?
Actually, she kind of does, but she doesn't do the... She doesn't spill anything, but it's that sort of thing, that tropey thing that happens in a lot of time travel stories. And I do think that if you're going to write a time travel movie from now on, you've got to avoid that stuff. You've got to avoid the montage where they're recreating moments to avoid mishap. I think that's been done to death now.
Yeah.
So it's a Japanese film, and there's a walnut, and a walnut allows her to time travel. So if she leaps, falls, trips, anything where she's like cascading, she can leap through time and she can keep going backwards in time. And so she exploits that to its full potential, beating tests and winning on a baseball game and things like that. But then it gets deeper and sweeter when she realizes that she can't live a consequence-free life, that she needs to let certain things happen, and that she stumbled across this ability because it belonged to somebody else. And that person wants it back, but there's only a finite number of jumps that you can do. And once you run out of jumps, you can never go back in time again. So it sort of builds towards her making some foolish mistakes, and she doesn't have the ability to go back in time and fix anything again. But it's very sweet and a bit poignant. But I enjoyed that. So that was one that I discovered thanks to this topic.
Well, I'm putting it on my watch list.
The Girl Who Leapt Through Time. I also watched the Czechoslovakian film that had the production values of a porno. It's the 1970s one called Tomorrow I'll Wake Up and Scald Myself with Tea. And,
that's not what it's called. That's not what it's called, is it? Tomorrow I'll wake up and scald myself with tea. Okay, I'm interested. Continue.
Yeah, because there's a moment in it where he scalds himself with tea. And he goes back in...
Was the pornography good?
I tell you, the film fucks. No. It wasn't for me.
Right.
Clash of Cultures type thing. 70s Czechoslovakian film, and you get what you expect. He goes back in time to a bunker to be with Hitler. And it's a comedy, but it's one of those, like, it feels like a sex comedy with the sex.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So you're not recommending that one?
I'm just telling people I watched it in order for them to not feel like
you haven't done your research. Can I bring up another back in time one? And I hope I'm not treading on toes here because I'm running out of. I want to make sure I get stuff in. Is one film which came to us via a listener recommendation for the Second Rate Show, which we did whenever last year. And it was a recommendation by Patrick McGinley, our patron.
Time Crimes.
Recommended to us Time Crimes.
It's a time loop.
I thought it was back in time. I thought he was going back in time constantly. And he was actually specifically going back in time.
It keeps looping over and over again. It's the same thing.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about it when we get to time loops.
Yeah. Time loops are my favourite type of time travel stories, to be honest.
Okay.
I also watched Free Jack. Did you ever see Free Jack?
Watched it years ago. Yeah. Tell me. Was this your first time watching it?
Yes. It's probably best left when you watched it years ago. Emilio Estevez.
Directed by the man who made The Quiet Earth, Jeff Murphy.
The New Zealand film, which is very good.
Yeah. So he went on to do films such as Free Jack when he went and leapt over the waters to Hollywood.
It looks nice, but it's a bonkers story.
And enter the year 2009, where immortality is only a heartbeat away, where money can buy anything.
Shouldn't you consider an alternative body? Sorry to deceive you.
Including life itself.
Emilio Estevez is a race car driver who gets kidnapped because people from the future want to put a billionaire's brain into his body.
Yes, I've just read the synopsis, and that's what the synopsis says as well.
Anthony Hopkins. Yeah. No, it's daft. It's one of those 80s time travel. Of the 80s, they try time travel a lot, and they don't get it right. There's only a few of them that really get it right, like Bill and Ted.
Excellent!
And my favourite 80s time travel one where they go back in time.
Tell me, what was it? I have no idea. It's not coming to me. I'm drawing a blank.
Steven Spielberg presents Back to the Future, a Robert Zemeckis film. Marty leads an ordinary life.
No McFly ever amounted to anything in the history of Hill Valley. Yeah, well, history is going to change.
Back to the Future.
Of course. Yeah, that's the ultimate.
No perfect script. Really well produced. Great concept. If you could go back in time and meet your parents, would you get on with them?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder, would I have gotten on with my parents if I were back in time? I don't think I would, to be honest.
Of course. No, none of us would have. It was like, especially in Ireland, where the gap between us and our parents was so vast culturally. Like, they were going to, their night of a crazy night was going to a Big Tom and the Mainliners. You know, they were closeted fucking
spit on me, Dickie.
Culture. Dickie Rock. Spit on me, Dickie.
They were, though.
I remember asking my dad, because my dad would have been like...
Your dad was in his 40s when he was a teenager.
But I remember getting into the Beatles in the 90s, right? And I remember, like, did the maths in my head and went, Jesus, my father would have been like the perfect age when the Beatles were kind of around, like, you know, he would have been in his 20s. And I said, do you remember the Beatles? And he went, I didn't really listen to that sort of stuff at all.
I guess you guys aren't ready for that yet.
But you kids are gonna love it.
Youth was wasted on you. You just missed like the best kind of cultural revolution.
He was more of a Rolling Stones man.
That's it, yeah. He says, I was doing heroin and hanging out in Rolling Stone concerts and I was riding with the Wild Bunch or whatever they were called. I had a Harley Davidson. I stabbed a few people. But I don't really know. I was on meth at the time.
And that was your mum?
That was my mother, yeah.
Yeah. So that's gone back in time.
I think my favourite one, I love the time travel films where they go back to themselves, when they go back to an earlier version of their own lives. If I was to pick one scene that does that, it's the scene from Back to the Future 2 where Marty from the first movie has to punch out Biff Tannen, you know? And the other Marty has fucked it up. Like Marty from Back to the Future 2 has kind of fucked up the chain of events for Back to the Future 1. So it's relying...
That's the best part of that film.
The enjoyment and excitement of that scene is led by the audience knowing the first film so well because everyone had seen it so many times. And also Marty himself knew the chain of events so well that we all knew what was supposed to happen.
Doc, damn it, come in!
Marty, what's up?
Doc! Doc, I'm in trouble. I blew it.
Where's the book?
I don't. Biff must still have it with him. All I got is the damn cover.
Then where's Biff?
You're asking for it.
I don't know.
Now you're gonna get it.
Don't you have any idea where he is?
Oh, I mean, he could be anywhere by now.
Marty, the entire future depends on you finding Biff and getting that book back.
I know. I just don't know where.
Stop it, Biff! You'll break his arm! Stop it!
Of course! I gotta go! I got one chance! My old man's about to deck Biff!
I can remember that shot of when Marty, wearing the leather jacket, is watching the young version of his dad punch out Biff, and that sense of like, oh, thank God, I put everything back to right. It's delightful.
Do you know what's crazy? I saw Back to the Future 2 in the cinema, and I'd never seen Back to the Future.
Oh my God. Were you completely lost?
No, I was just happy to be in a cinema watching stuff. I was like, oh my God, they've got floating skateboards and stuff. I was like in my element.
Yeah.
Doc, success, I got it.
Thank goodness.
So that's like going back in time, and then of course you can jump forward in time. And I suppose if you're going to get naked, I may as well do it as well.
Let's do it.
Hurry, we don't have much time.
Commando the shit.
You don't need to grease us up, that's fine. Greasy enough. Sorry, I didn't mean to press
Will you stop messing with the blue drive?
Sorry, okay. Anyway, there aren't as many movies where a character goes into the future. I could only really pick two. A lot of them are like characters from the past come to the present. So I mentioned at the start, Forever Young, Mel Gibson is like a 1940s guy and he's brought to the 90s. And then he has to find his lady love and he's aging rapidly. I was shocked how similar that one was to the Philadelphia Experiment, which wasn't very good.
Oh, really? I haven't seen the Philadelphia Experiment.
The Philadelphia Experiment was a film that John Carpenter was going to do, but he got stuck on the script. And he went to the producer and he said, there's no third act to this, so I don't know how to do it. And they said, well, okay, you need to give us something else then. If you want to back out, you still owe us another film. And so he gave them Escape from New York. And he did that.
Oh.
And so he's an executive producer on the Philadelphia Experiment.
Okay.
Time After Time was one I watched. It's Malcolm McDowell and he plays H.G. Wells and he's chasing Jack the Ripper. He's friends with Jack the Ripper. Yeah. He gets into a time machine. He goes to San Francisco of 1979 and H.G. Wells follows him there. And he falls in love with Mary Steenburgen and he's trying to stop Jack the Ripper. And it's done by Nicholas Meyer, who did Wrath of Khan.
Wow. And you watched this. How was it?
It's fine. It's like a matinee film. It felt like a Disney film from the 70s doing a Doctor Who type story.
Okay. What you said was interesting earlier on. And I really hadn't considered it before you actually said it. The reason, a very practical reason we've far less future movies or characters jumping into the future is production costs.
Yeah, huge.
And anytime we have them characters jumping into the future, they're characters from the past jumping into the present.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't cost to build sets. It's an existing world. We can just shoot it right now. You have very few films of characters jumping into the future as of the time they were making
I could only list two.
Okay. That they actually do that, where they go far into the future.
Far into the future. And they're both,
right,
I think, belters. Demolition Man.
Oh, that's fun.
And Idiocracy.
Oh, yeah, very good. Ever, like, so prescient to us.
For the last time, I'm pretty sure what's killing the crops is this Brondo stuff.
But Brondo's got what plants crave. It's got electrolytes.
So wait a minute. What you're saying is that you want us to put water on the crops?
Yes.
Water? Like out the toilet?
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be out of the toilet, but yeah, that's the idea.
But Brondo's got what plants crave.
It's got electrolytes.
Okay, look. The plants aren't growing, so I'm pretty sure that the Brondo's not working. Now, I'm no botanist, but I do know that if you put water on plants, they grow.
Oh, well, I've never seen no plants grow out of no toilet.
Hey, that's good. You sure you ain't the smartest guy in the world?
Yeah.
Okay, look, you want to solve this problem. I want to get my pardon, so why don't we just try it, okay? And not worry about what plants crave.
Brondo's got what plants crave.
Yeah, it's got electrolytes.
What are electrolytes? Do you even know?
It's what they use to make Brondo.
Yeah, but why did they use them to make Brondo?
Because Brondo's got electrolytes.
After several hours, Joe finally gave up on logic and reason and simply told the cabinet that he could talk to plants and that they wanted water.
Do you know that with Demolition Man? Back in my time as a waiter in Planet Hollywood in San Francisco, there was a time I was a waiter in Planet Hollywood in San Francisco, they had various props from famous films adorning the restaurant. And one of the standout ones in that restaurant, hanging from the ceiling, was the life-size frozen mannequin of Sylvester Stallone in that film, completely naked. So I was walking under a life-size naked Sylvester Stallone, 8 hours a day, 5-6 days a week for a couple of months.
Did they have 3 shells in the bathroom?
They had 3 shells in the bathroom, and I never knew how to use them. They're very comfortable on the butt.
Wipe your arse with the shells.
Yeah, so I wipe my arse on. It's really weird. And then other people have to use them after you. It's like, oh, it's just very strange.
You're out of toilet paper.
Did you say toilet paper?
Oh, they used handfuls of wadded paper back in the 20s.
I'm happy that you're happy, but the place where you're supposed to have the toilet paper, you got this little shelf with 3 seashells on it.
He doesn't know how to use the 3 seashells.
The other ones where it's like characters from the past coming into the future. You've got like Austin Powers.
Morning, Austin. You know, I sometimes forget you've missed out on the last 30 years. Fall of the Berlin Wall, first female British Prime Minister, end of apartheid.
Yeah, and I can't believe Liberace was gay. I mean, women loved him. I didn't see that one coming, no.
Yes, yeah.
And they do a clever thing with the sequel where then they send him back in time. So he's back in his element.
Basil, if I travel back to 1969 and I was frozen in 1967, presumably I could go visit my frozen self. But if I'm still frozen in 1967, how could I have been unthawed in the 90s and traveled back to, oh no, I've gone cross-eyed?
I suggest you don't worry about this sort of thing and just enjoy yourself. That goes for you all, too.
That's a fun way to play with that concept.
Yeah, it was good. It was the only way they could do that sequel.
What's your favourite type of jumping into the future story?
Well, in film, that one that came to mind was one from the 80s, and it was The Flight of the Navigator.
I love that film. That feels like a Spielberg movie that wasn't made by him.
Doesn't, but it has... it doesn't quite have the same level of whimsy. It actually has quite a melancholy vibe to it, which really, I think, made me ache when I was younger.
David, what time did you enter the woods?
Around 8 o'clock.
Then what happened?
Then I reached this cliff.
It's transmitting in alpha waves with complex frequency patterns in them.
I know I fell.
It's 1986, man. 8 years since that night. This is totally rad. I mean, you're my big little brother.
I think you should take a look at this. Where did this come from?
for the mind of a 12-year-old boy.
He's hurt. He's calling me. His voice keeps calling, saying something over and over and over.
The scene that I really liked, that actually really upset me when I was young, was the scene where he wakes up after being in a coma and it's nighttime and he's running back home and he's furious with his brother and he's knocking on the door. The door opens and the people who answer the door aren't his family. It's a completely strange group of people. And he doesn't understand what's going on, and he climbs up the stairs, which was stairs in his house, which has been completely redecorated. And the man at the top of the stairs says, "Kid, you're in the wrong house." And he goes, "No, this is my house." And he just starts breaking down. And there's a whole sequence then where they call the cops and they eventually bring his family in. And you have his little brother, who was this annoying little brat, now comes to him and he's this, teenager. Like, he's older than him. He's a bigger boy than him.
Open up, you little punk! Do you hear me? I said open up!
Who are you?
Who are you?
I'm David. I live here.
Think you have the wrong house, dear.
Where's my mom?
I have no idea. Are you lost? Hey! Where do you think you're going? Now, just a minute. You've made a mistake.
Mom? Dad?
Larry!
What's the problem, son? Now calm down, son. Now nobody's going to hurt you. What's your name? Where do you live?
Please. Where's my mom and dad?
Janet, call the police.
But it's in that moment of seeing this older brother, there's a real tragedy and sense of loss, because I think seeing that change, that recasting, really makes it apparent how much he's missed out. How much suffering has kind of happened. It's not overly stated, but there's a real sense of tragedy, a real sense of loss that's happened there, and something that needs to be fixed. The story really kind of sets itself up as, you just can't carry on with this family anymore. You kind of have to find a way back. You kind of have to go back to your timeline. It really feels urgent. And I felt really emotionally invested in that kid's situation. And so when he goes off with that on that ship, it's a great adventure. It's really
I love
cool.
this little snot alien sidekick that he has.
Yeah, it was really cute. Yeah, it's a good little film. It's a really good little film. So I'm glad I get a chance to bring it up.
Yeah. I loved Forever Young as well. It's one of those matinee films.
I really enjoyed it. I haven't thought about that film since forever ago, so I'm going to give that a rewatch.
But I think the best one of these where somebody goes into the future has got to be Idiocracy. Just because it hits the nail on the head, and now it doesn't feel that far-fetched anymore.
Yeah, it's scary now, isn't it?
Scary.
When did that? They came out in the mid-2000s, didn't it?
Early 2000s, yeah.
Right.
2006,
and it
I
felt
think.
like, yeah. And at the time, it felt like, come on. It was like, this is far-fetched. This is way too far-fetched. And now it feels, you watch it and you go, shit, this is kind of coming through 20 years later. We're going down that road.
Yeah, you reminded me that I didn't bring this up earlier on, but if we were to recreate Back to the Future and go back in time as many years as Marty McFly goes, we'd be going back to the early 2000s.
Oh my God.
I can't guess you guys aren't ready for that yet.
It was just 20 years he jumped back. 65, 75. No, he went back to 55. So 65, 75, 80. He went back 30 years.
1993.
Can't guess you guys aren't ready for that yet.
And then he goes to 2015. Hello. 5, yeah, it's 30 years. That's what it is. So we'd be going back to the early 90s.
That was a terrible time as well. Joe Blogg's jeans.
Oh, God. Yeah, culture kind of took a dip for a couple of years there, right, for sure.
The Fugees hadn't come along. Yeah, God.
At least we'd boys on to look forward to.
Spit on me. Spit on me. Spit on me. Spit on me.
There's two other types of time travel type stories. We've done going back in time. We've done going forward in time. Then there are the ones that are slightly dealing with time, but they're not time travel. Eternal Sunshine, Memento, Tenet, Final Destination, The Lake House Frequency, Safety Not Guaranteed, Minority Report, Deja Vu, Run Lola Run. They're all very good, aside from Tenet.
I don't think you actually picked any of the ones that I have. I've got two films that are in the sort of time travel category.
Go on.
Did you say Interstellar?
No, I didn't say that. That's a good sequence in that film.
So, like, I love this version of time travel because it's one of the few examples of time travel in films that is actually grounded in real science. So this is probably the only way we'll actually experience time travel as a species, okay? And my favorite sequence is that scene where they're on the water planet and we have the, you know, it's a very literal ticking clock going on. And every second that's wasted on the surface of this planet means that it's years wasted back on Earth. So when Matthew McConaughey's character, like their mission on the water planet kind of goes to shit and they have to retreat to their vessel and get back up to their mothership as quickly as possible. But one of their colleagues falls behind and Matthew McConaughey has to make a quick decision whether he's going to rescue them and waste more years. Every second wasted is years gone by. He makes, you know, that choice to, you know, sacrifice the time and rescue his colleague. It's a really, I fucking found it really fucking emotionally powerful when he goes back up to the spaceship, mothership, and sees all the video logs that have come in from his family and years have fucking passed. It's very, very powerful.
And it spawned that meme.
Yeah. Yeah, blubbering.
Matthew McConaughey crying his eyes out. That's how I felt watching Tenet.
It makes it really hard now to appreciate that scene because of that fucking meme, you know? But I thought that was the best sequence in that film. Really powerful, excellent stuff.
Safety Not Guaranteed. Did you ever see that?
I did, yeah. It starts with an ad.
Yes. Does it start with an ad?
There's an ad in the newspaper. Ad. Yeah, safety, and it says safety not guaranteed is one of the things that's on the ad, isn't that right?
Yeah. But the end of that film, Steven Spielberg said that if it didn't end the way that it did, then Colin Trevorrow, the director, wouldn't have gotten the Jurassic World job. And I think that the ending of Safety Not Guaranteed is a mistake. I don't like it.
Go on.
There's a couple of films that sort of end where they tell you that the delusion that you would have thought the character had wasn't there and that it was real all along. Like Take Shelter, for instance. But Safety Not Guaranteed, he actually goes back in time. He gets on that contraption, that boat type thing, and he goes back in time. And I think that's a mistake. I would have preferred if, and this is just my personal preference, but I would have preferred if he had disappeared and Aubrey Plaza wasn't 100% sure of what happened. And then she finds that time capsule. And we're left wondering, did he go back in time? I think he did. I think he didn't, or whatever. But it was just a more interesting ending to me than the more overt thing of, oh, he was right all along and he time traveled.
Oh, Lordy, listen, I saw that film once when it first came out years and years ago. But yeah, just in general, I think staying with the mystery would be probably better.
It's weird that Spielberg preferred it to end that way.
That's interesting. That is interesting.
I guess because they took the leap and they committed to the concept and they didn't sort of shy away into the more realistic version.
Yeah. He wanted a closed ending instead of an open ending.
Yeah. Or he just wanted a fantastical ending instead of like a more grounded ending.
Yeah. So moral of the story is don't trust Spielberg. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Don't trust him. With time travel, you can jump around based on your consciousness. You can have a magic spell. You can have a time machine. We haven't really talked about time machines much. There can be some sort of cosmic thing like a black hole. But one that involves magic that I think is gorgeous, and I don't know where to place it, like in what category, because it involves all of them. And it's A Christmas Carol.
Oh, I didn't think of that.
Yeah, or Scrooge, Muppets Christmas Carol or Scrooge.
Oh,
they go back
God.
in time, they go forward in time, and they show him an alternate time.
Oh, yeah, you bastard. I didn't think of that. I love that.
Oh, no. James, my brother, he's dead. Why did this have to happen? Well, when I get back, I'm gonna... Well, there he is, James! Who's in there?
The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I
What the
walk-
hell's this that you say? What, that I've died? Why are you showing me this stuff? I can't do anything dead. Why the hell did you bother to show me this stuff? James, no. No. Oh. Please don't let him hurt me, King. Jimmy, don't let him hurt me. Please don't let him hurt me.
As I've said probably many times, definitely in the Christmas episode, my favorite version of the Christmas Carol is the Muppets one. I just love that version.
Me too.
And
I love
it's
that.
kind of dealing with what we're discussing, is that idea of visiting oneself and visiting your,
It's dealing with regret.
Yeah, definitely. Coming face to face with your regret and actually seeing and acknowledging the poor decisions we've made as individuals in our past lives and learning from that and hopefully changing and becoming a better person.
Two superhero ones that are gags that deal with time travel that I like, and I didn't want to include anything to do with superheroes, but these two are great. The post-credit scene in Deadpool 2, where he tries to clean up the timeline and he's going back and he's shooting himself in the head so he doesn't do Green Lantern, and he's executing the other Wade. It's set to Cher's turn back time. It's very funny.
We're definitely naming our kid Cher!
Oh, I enjoyed that. But my favourite one is in Teen Titans Go to the Movies. Did you ever end up seeing that?
Oh, we did. It was the kids have had it on loads of times. It's a great show. Teen Titans is fantastic. Go on. What happens in that one?
Every superhero is born from a tragic, life-changing event. I propose we travel through time and stop those tragic events from taking place.
Robin, this is the excellent plan!
The Teen Titans want to get rid of superheroes from the world, so they go back in time on their time cycles to eradicate the origin stories of classic superheroes like Superman and Batman. So they go back in time and they save Krypton from exploding by playing like dance music. They prevent Bruce's parents from getting murdered, and then they come back to the future and realize that the world is in absolute chaos and it's wrecked because there are no superheroes. So they have to go back, and it's very subversive. They've got to go back in time and orchestrate the murder of Bruce's parents.
Yeah, I don't
so
remember
like
this.
putting the pearls around his mother's neck and shoving her into the alley so she can get shot to death.
Very good.
And little Bruce looking at it, blowing up Krypton. It's very, very funny, and I guffawed several times with Teen Titans Go to the Movies.
That's what's great, because I lived with Teen Titans on loop in this house. Luke got in an absolute fixation about Teen Titans, and it was one of those shows that was on the background, and I just loved it being in the background. It was so fucking funny, really, really clever. And I think we watched the film once, and it might have been one of those ones that I fell asleep during while we had it on TV. So when I say I watched it, I actually think I was using it as nap time for me.
Well, I fucking loved it. I think it's a great film. Very, very funny, very clever. So we've covered going back in time, forward in time, stories that are slightly about time travel, but not really dealing with time travel in the way that you think. But my favorite type of time travel are time loop stories. Time loop stories.
Right.
And they've really only come about recently. There's been like a glut of them. And I know this because I wrote one, and then suddenly everybody was writing one. But the classic one, obviously, is Cause and Effect from Star Trek The Next Generation.
Of course.
All hands abandon ship! Repeat! All hands abandon...
Absolutely.
It came a year before Groundhog Day, but Groundhog Day is sort of the template, and it's basically the classic thing of somebody being stuck in a moment in time and having to relive it over and over again. And since Groundhog Day, we've had like Donnie Darko, Happy Death Day, Looper, Palm Springs, Triangle, Coherent, Source Code, even Arrival I would include in that.
Yeah.
Because the loop can be as expansive as, it doesn't have to be just a day or it doesn't have to be like a couple of hours, which is what I think it is in source code. It can be almost a lifetime looping over again, repeating itself. But I love time loop stories.
You mentioned one there, a more recent one, which was very refreshing as well, which was Palm Springs. Palm Springs takes the Groundhog Day concept and kind of ditches what we're getting used to it and starts with someone walking into someone else's time loop.
I don't think that we met. I'm Sarah.
Niles.
Nice. Niles?
Don't come in here!
What
It's gonna be a beautiful wedding.
It's one of those infinite time loop situations you might have heard about. The second you fall asleep, it all just goes back to the start.
Well, then what's the point of living?
We kind of have no choice but to live.
No, I'm gonna get out of this.
See you tomorrow.
I can't keep waking up in here.
At least you have each other.
Everything that we are doing is meaningless.
Good day so far? Today, tomorrow, it's all the same.
They do the unique thing of having two people in a time loop.
Yeah.
But they're staggered.
It's fucking brilliant. If you haven't seen Palm Springs, just definitely go to your way and watch it. It's so funny. It's just a fresh take on that concept. It's the delight in, it's almost like being immortal in a way. There's a kind of a wish fulfillment of like, what could you do if you live forever? But you have these very specific parameters put upon you. How creative can you be to fuck shit up? It's just basically a real trial of an individual.
Yeah.
The one that you brought up, I've only watched 1.5 times, but I think it's a fantastic film, was Arrival.
This is the day they arrived.
The object touched down 40 minutes ago.
Mama, what's going to happen?
I don't know.
Dr. Banks, you're at the top of everyone's list when it comes to translations. You hear any words?
Is that...
Yes.
Am I the only one having trouble saying aliens?
So what do they look like? You'll see soon enough.
They need to see me.
Dr. Banks?
Now that's a proper introduction.
More objects have landed around the world.
It's their language.
Got 21 hours before we start global war.
They're not our enemy.
We need to talk to them.
It's more complicated than that.
How is it more complicated?
Are you dreaming in their language? What does it say?
Weapon.
So how do we clarify their intentions?
I go back in.
What is she doing? You are committing an act of treason.
Do you trust me?
Why 1.5 times?
Oh, because I watched it in the cinema and it devastated me so much in the cinema, I resisted going back to watch it again. And in the last week, I started watching it again, and the opening scene alone had me in floods of tears because I knew what the opening scene now meant. And I was just in floods of tears, and it was agony. It was agonizing for me because I didn't feel I could handle the ending.
It was agonizing for me as well because I wrote a script called Prescience, which used the exact same conceit. I just didn't have aliens in it, but it was about remembering the future and a child that hadn't been born yet.
Yeah.
And it plays out so eerily similar that I avoided watching Arrival for that reason, because I just didn't want to open that wound and be like, oh God, I wrote this and nobody ever really got to see it. Of course, I didn't know Ted Chiang's book or his novella, so ignorance played a factor in that. But
you know, when I was in the cinema, I remember actually in the cinema watching it, and I remember feeling, oh no, Kevin's script, because I'd read Prescience at that stage, and I loved that was and I loved that aspect of your script of the idea of this becoming aware of the child that wasn't born yet, and I remember commenting, I remember giving you, because I had a kid at that stage, and obviously Luke was born, and I remember kind of saying to you, like, once that parental trigger is awakened within you, it can't be switched off. You know, it's just your DNA has been kind of changed slightly. And I remember having that feeling, just going, oh no, Kevin, script. Shit. This idea is one of the great ideas in this and in his story. Yeah, so I felt bad for you.
I never would have watched it unless I had to for this topic, because I thought, like, I can't not talk about Arrival. It's bound to come up because it's like one of the great time travel stories of the last like 20 years. And I knew that you'd probably bring it up. But I ended up loving the film. I ended up feeling like this is the idea that I had in mind, but done to maximum effect. And it was gorgeous. It was beautiful. But it plays a trick on the audience. So you don't know that you're in a time travel story until it's revealed to Amy Adams' character. So you think that you are meeting somebody who's dealing with grief of having lost a child, and then enters into the story, and then you come to learn that she's remembering the future. And this is the gift that the aliens are bringing to them, is the ability to broaden the consciousness so that time is no longer linear, and you can remember all facets of your lifespan. And it's such a tender film. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I love this idea that life can be lived in a loop, and also the heaviness of knowing what is ahead of you is, as well as you know what's behind you. The way to that knowledge of the future, like, you know, and how the film frames it, you know, it just killed me. But what I love about that as a concept is it forces her to live her life differently. She has to surrender to the circle of life, and she has to just live her life. So, like, in a way, she's no longer chasing the future. What I love about that is that it changes our mindset of how we perceive how we live our lives. If the entirety of humanity were to live in that way, it humble us as a species and make us operate in a completely different manner to the way we actually currently operate, which is chasing, pursuing, rather than seeing things as a whole.
That's the message of about time as well, which is like he tells him to live every day twice.
Yeah.
So for the first day, just to get all the anxiety and stress out of the way, and then to do it a second time so that you get to enjoy the experience of being aware.
It's beautiful,
of how good you have it.
Going, no, this is precious. Every moment, the now is so... excuse me. It's precious when I burp into the mic as well as saying something like that. The now is so precious. It really is. And I do adore that central message of this fucking big sci-fi film. It's brilliant. I love Denis Villeneuve. He is amazing, and I can't wait for Dune to put it into me as soon as possible. Denis, you hunk of a man.
You've been waiting a long time. Is that your pick?
Could be. Yeah, we'll call it my pick.
I don't know. Is it your pick?
Yeah, I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with Arrival as my pick. Fuck it. It is my pick.
What's your scene pick?
It's that final montage, which also connects into the bookend of it.
We're so prepared.
But it is. It's that awakening for her, which connects to the beginning of the film. That awakening of like her having this revelation, or the audience having this revelation of, oh shit.
What you call her?
Of Amy Adams' character.
Whore.
I did never. Amy Adams is as far a whore as any person could ever be.
Thank you.
But yeah, her awakening.
She's the only person that I think could have played that part. She has this ability to remain right on the precipice of tears. She seems so brittle and so willowy. If I tried to fan cast it with another actress, I don't think the film would be as effective. She's got this lovely, gentle voice.
Yeah. And the weight of the world is on her shoulders as well. Like, there's an awful lot of pressure on her. Yeah, it's a fantastic film. I found it so frustrating how the fucking military were just constantly like sabotaging and undercutting, and they were pissing me off. It was like, shut up, Forrest Whitaker. Let her speak. Shut your gob.
Let her save the world. So I love that film. Will I give you my pick?
Go on. Absolutely. I'd love to hear it.
I've seen so many time travel movies. I've loved a lot of them. Some of them are shite, but I didn't really, spend too much time on them. Back to the Future is great. Terminator 2 is great. Terminator 1 is great. Other ones that don't really get as much love, but I still kind of really like them. Looper and The Voyage Home and Army of Darkness, which we didn't talk about. Idiocracy.
Time Bandits. We didn't mention Time Bandits anywhere yet, and that's so much fun.
Yeah, Minority Report we didn't really talk about, where they're using the ability to see the future to catch people for crimes they haven't committed yet.
If we're talking about time loops, I should have mentioned Edge of Tomorrow, of course.
Of course, I didn't write that down. How did I not write down Edge of Tomorrow? That's a great action film.
Yeah, it's a cracker.
Oh, I've written it down here as Live, Die, Repeat, that's why.
Okay.
They're fantastic. They can span all types of genres. You can have period films, you can have found footage films like the Project Almanac, rom-coms, horror movies, Final Destination. They can all sort of borrow heavily from the conceit of time travel, and you get to tell stories that are basically about the human condition, and again, as I said, the themes of regret, but you put this sci-fi element on top of them, and it sort of allows
Or magical realism. It's sci-fi or magical realism, and I love that shit.
Yeah, somebody can be cursed or there's a spell put upon them or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Even hard, cold, austere filmmakers like Christopher Nolan can use time travel to tell a story that's just about the power of love, that love can transcend time and space. But the one that I went with is from a film that is my favourite time travel movie because it ranks so high on my list of favourite of all time movies. So I couldn't really pick another one beyond it. And it's a scene within the film that I think it transcends the device of time travel and pushes that character to evolve past their own myopic view of how great they are and puts everything in perspective. And the film, of course, is Groundhog Day, which for me is a perfect film. But the scene that I love, and it's only like 2 minutes in the film, and they don't really go back to it once they've sort of had this devastating moment, and it is the homeless guy in Groundhog Day.
It's a beautiful scene. And do you want me to sicken your shit right now?
Are we going to record again?
No, I'll sicken your shit and tell you that was your pick for best magical realism scene as well.
You're joking me.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
I remember cutting that. The reason being is because I remember...
Will is correct.
Oh my God.
Well, it's Groundhog Day. Again?
And I guess maybe the scene that I like the most in that movie is when he cannot save the homeless man. All of his problems pale in comparison because there's always somebody who's worse off than you. And every day that he relives, that old man that everybody's overlooked dies.
Excellent choice. An excellent film.
Well, it's Groundhog Day. Again?
Podbot? What do you mean? I've already used this before. I mean, we've got to go back in time and fix this? Oh my God, how did I not notice?
Lads, I've been investigating anomalies in the timeline and I've figured out the problem. In best Star Trek scene, you traveled back in time to 1986, and you took Deadman with you, the ensign who joined for that storyline. And you left him behind.
Yes.
Oh, he's alive.
What about him?
Since that moment, Deadman has been altering history. This mistake by Kevin is proof of it. It is so out of character for him.
That's true.
Are you saying we're in an alternate timeline, Podbot? Is that what's going on?
That's exactly what I'm saying. And the multiverse is collapsing.
What does that mean?
Hello and welcome to the best. This is your co-host Deadman, a writer of 40 films and 800 episodes of TV. Films like Titanic, Matrix, Grabbers, Song of the Sea, Mannequin on the Moon from TNG. And I'm here with my co-host Maura, who invented Amazon.
Hello, Deadman. Oh my God, can you believe we've been doing this podcast now for 10 years and we're number one all over the world?
Making so much money. Making so much money. Millions and millions and millions, and everybody's listening to our Patreon.
That dirty bastard.
You need to travel back to 1986 again, and this time you need to stop Deadman. The fate of the world depends upon it.
Let's do it. This is the perfect window to do this. Let's keep going with it, Kevin. Keep going with it.
Podbot, what are we going to do?
Here, use this. The blue drive. It's a time travel device.
Here, you.
Okay.
I'm not touching that fucking thing.
Why are you taking off your clothes? You don't have to be naked to go back in time.
I thought this was the Terminator rules. You have to be completely naked.
Well, I suppose if you're going to get naked, I may as well do it as well.
Well, let's do this.
Hurry, we don't have much time.
Commando this shit.
We don't need to grease us up. That's fine.
Enter the episode number and go.
Episode 47. Here we
Right
go.
up the crack.
The Witch Seymour Project.
Super R-rated, isn't this easy?
I forgot to wear my fucking transporter nappy.
You have to wear your nappy, Will. We're over there.
I'm dripping on it. Bad. I'm exposed.
Yeah, yes, Podbot, we copy.
I've moved you back to
What do we do?
1986.
Will, go ahead, Podbot.
You must stop Deadman from changing the timeline.
How, though?
But do not
What's going on?
interfere with your past self.
What do we need to do?
Having
Listen.
traveled through time, all of your
Travelled
atoms
through
are
time.
temporarily charged.
Atoms are
you
charged.
need to slap him into next week. Then do
Slap
it again,
him.
and again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and again.
What?
That makes sense.
Until he is slapped back into his own time.
Are you taking the piss? How many times are we supposed to slap him?
1936.
Fuck off, we'll be here all day.
Bad idea to get greased up, wasn't it? A really bad idea to get greased
Yeah,
up.
but you look good, though.
Oh, Jesus.
Well, that's handy. He slipped on your grease.
I'm after slipping in shite.
Oi.
Captain,
Uh-huh.
you've got, very fat.
That's the lighting.
Commander Will, you don't have your BAFTA with you, and you're naked.
Got your number.
Why are you commenting on me being naked? Like, you know, it's just that's the way you travel when you're traveling through time. You
leave
have
it.
to be naked. Why aren't you
Leave
naked?
it, Will.
Because I'm
He's
just
not
more.
worth
You're
it.
the one who's out of place. There's two of us naked. There's one of
He's
you
not worth
unnaked. You freak.
Me or him?
What's going on?
What's going on is that we left you here to rot. And instead you spent the last 30 years getting back at us by changing history, making millions and ripping us off.
What?
What?
I see. So you left me here deliberately.
What about it?
Well, you gotta watch yourself with that fat bastard.
Don't you talk to Will, he works for me.
Yeah.
Will, you know what to do.
Whoa! Come on.
Go on,
Come on, then.
Go on. Go for the hair.
Come on.
Reef it. That's it. Go on.
Why are you so greasy?
You have to grease up if you're time traveling.
Come on,
Will, go for the ball. Kick him in the nuts.
get up. Get up and fight me like a bitch.
This is
Will,
what you get
kick
for
him in the
handling.
nuts. Get him. Oh, perfect. Fatality.
Ow!
Here we go.
Jesus.
Fucking hell, that was good. Let me at him.
Fuck
First
it.
of many.
Don't.
I don't wanna, but your face makes me wanna.
Don't, please. I've got nothing to live for.
Back of the hand.
Take that. Take that. Take it. And another one. Obey the laws of physics, goddammit. Oh, I could do this all day long.
Open palm, Will. Open palm. No.
Yeah. I feel the song coming
Shovel
on.
down.
Yes, I can. Yeah.
Well, that's going too far.
Here we go.
That's going no.
And we're off.
Whoa. Fucking hell, that's bright. Did you have to use the shovel?
Can I take a trophy?
I'm not going to stop you. You can take whatever you want. Please, take one of those underpants. Actually, take two.
Extra stretchy elastic.
That's I remember now. I remember I came back the last time to get a pair of underpants because I tore the arse out of the other pair. So get me a few pairs there. Right, let's go. We got to go back to what episode was it? It's episode 53, I think.
Oh, the one we were on? I think it was.
Yeah.
Episode. No, it's 52.
All right, let's go. 53.
Don't call me stupid.
Where are we outside this concert hall?
You Egypt, you're at the live taping of episode 53.
Oh, you fucked up, Kevin.
Oh,
It's the real episode with Steven Spielberg as special guest.
What?
See mountains and cactus, but you would see them, just like French Impressionism. It was just there and gone. It was just, a blur.
What's that?
And then he would invite people over to the house to watch these things. So I took over the camera and I began to make little stories about our,
like you've got work done.
Propensity to camp.
Steve, I know you've conquered filmmaking.
Ooh,
but did you
Steve.
ever think about moving into podcasting?
Not until this moment.
I'm friends with Steven Spielberg.
That gets a round of applause.
Please, the booth driver, get back here before you destroy something.
Yeah, okay. But just let me soak this in for one moment. The adoration. Steve, as a fellow BAFTA winner, what was it like winning your BAFTA?
Very good question. I like it.
Oh, you love Jaws? Oh, Jesus.
Thanks.
Oh, fuck this.
Well done, lads. Welcome back.
We had Steven Spielberg on the podcast as a guest.
Sorry, lads, because you've changed the past. That future episode now no longer exists.
Oh,
so
no,
you best
Pop
spin the wheel.
That's terrible.
It's an alternate timeline.
Yes.
Oh, no. Whose episode was it, Popbot?
It was a Will episode.
Oh, that's all right. I don't mind. That's grand.
Oh.
Right, back to episode 52. So, Will, my pick for best time travel scene is going to be one that I've not talked about before.
Right.
And it's a scene in a movie that I love. And it's when Superman flies back around the world, turning back
I thought you were going to mention Superman.
To save the love of his life. It's my favourite scene, and that wraps up best time travel scenes. Oh my God, we did it. We can do this over.
I don't know how. I'm exhausted.
I'm exhausted.
Oh, God. But I love the serendipity of that happening. I genuinely love that. Was just perfect. Kind of once that happened, you have to embrace, chase that fish. Just chase that fucking fish.
I'll fix it. I'll fix it in post. Time travels.
Right.
Okay. So that'll do.
Time travel's in the bag.
All right.
No, very good.
Let's spin the wheel. I am thrilled to bits that the next episode is you.
I am so glad too, because there's no time machinery
say that
to get involved. But it's good fun. Good fun.
It is not. Okay.
It's also tragic to actually see an alternate universe where we were incredibly successful, and now we've chosen this path. So I think we're the better for choosing the current path that we're on.
We are. Okay, I'm going to spin the wheel for you, Will, and I can't wait to find out what episode 53 will be. Here we go. Ooh.
It's a Spielberg a live show with Spielberg.
And the next episode is best undercover scene.
Okay, that's bringing us back to Earth a bit.
So get Spielberg for that. It'll be nice to have him on the pod again.
He had Spielberg once. That's all I can say. That's all Spielberg came to, and he actually came to Cork, which was mad.
He did. The Cork Arena as well, which hasn't been built yet. That's amazing. Best undercover scene, next episode. Listen, if you enjoy these episodes, please rate and review the podcast wherever you get your podcast episodes.
Yeah.
Trick the algorithm and give us a nice rating and review. We will thank you forever for doing that for us. And we're also on Patreon, where we put out bonus shows.
Mm-hmm.
And
so if you want more of our tomfoolery on a regular basis, come on, join us on the Patreon. They're actually good episodes. And we talk about what we're watching currently and other shit that's happening in our lives.
But for now, we'll bid you adieu.
I love adieu. I fucking adore adieu. Just that with some croutons
and some deja vu. It's gorgeous.
Deja vu. Oh yeah, deja vu. You wouldn't want to have them in the same course, but definitely, they really complement each other.
Well,
Kevin,
did you ever get deja vu?
I've ordered it a few times, and I love it in chicken flavour.
Okay, right. I'll see you.
Right, good luck.
Take care.
The Best Bits podcast is produced by Will and Kevin. All audio clips and music heard in this episode is the intellectual property of the respective copyright holders, and no infringement is intended. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider becoming a Patreon member, where you'll receive bonus shows where we talk about recent releases and what we're up to. And you'll receive access to our Discord chat room, where we hang out with our listeners. Search the Best Bits podcast on Patreon or click on the link in the show notes.
And here is a clip from the lads' latest Mini Bits bonus show. The full episode, plus 80 more, are available on their Patreon.
See you, Mossy. I gotta go in and record another one of these fucking mini bits.
Oh, yes, this is all let's
I know. What are you doing?
Right now, on the Academy screener site, and I hit play because there's only a few films on it for the first month or two. There's only like about less than 10 films on it. And Guy Ritchie's The Covenant is on here. So I hit play on that, and I'm hearing we're out in Afghanistan, and I'm hearing all the dirt, and I hear vehicles, and I hear the sound effects of characters walking. But when characters open their mouths, I don't hear any dialogue.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there's
no dialogue.
They've uploaded the wrong audio track. It's like that Tom Cruise trailer where it was just the sound effects.
Have you met an SP?
Yeah, and this film has been up on the screen site for a few weeks now, and they still have the wrong one here. Well, I tell you what films are actually up there for all Academy members to see, and they see what they've put up there.
But first of all, let's just throw to our theme. And I have to say, the feedback from my thank you ballad was quite fierce.
The power of Christ compels you!
So I asked Mossy, who is a friend of my dad's at the quiz, sing us a theme tune.
Oh.
So over to Mossy.
Hit the cards. I'm fine, I'll get it done in one take. It's the Many Bits. Or podcast, what will they say? With Will and Kevin Cock.
The best fucking podcast.
That'll do.
That'll do.
My God.
Thank you, Mossy.
He would make an angel weep. That voice would make an angel weep.
Telling you.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Boolabus.
It only cost us 2 months Patreon money, so, you know.
Is that all? Money well spent in my eyes.
Yeah. I mean, you can't get much for €20. Will, you were telling me before the intro that you were looking at stuff on the Academy Screeners website.
The Academy Awards. So for official members, yes. So they don't send out DVDs anymore. So how you do all your streaming stuff is all via the Academy website. And the streaming season has begun, which is exciting. So it means for the rest of the year...
Did it ever end?
It does end. It does. After the Academy Awards, there's about 2 weeks, and they take all the films down, and then they begin again at the end of August, and they all start coming up. So it's a whole new collection of hopefuls.
So how many films are on there?
Right now, about 10. Actually, 10 exactly. I can tell you the 10.
Oh, go on, tell me.
John Wick 4.
For the Oscars. Oh, because there's like...
Yes, because they're adding in stunt category, aren't they?
Are they adding it in? Is the stunt category being added?
I believe they're adding in some sort of stunt category.
Breaking news straight from an Academy member's mouth.
Because they're adding in stunt category, aren't they?
Slash film.
I don't know. Did I read this in an article? I feel they were.
I
felt they were.
Have long overlooked stunts, and my God, it's pure artistry.
Yeah.
And it is incredibly, well, these days, it's all fucking rubber computer generated avatars.
That's why we should that's why these people should be getting their Oscars when someone's actually going out there. Yeah,
go back,
absolutely.
Go back and give it to your man from Mad Max who broke his legs.
Give it to Richard Farnsworth, who was a stuntman and starred in The Straight Story. Yeah, Richard Farnsworth was a career stuntman. Absolutely.
Wasn't that also the case with Machete? What's your man, Machete? Danny Trejo.
Danny Trejo.
Is
really?
It Trejo or Trejo?
I always call him Trejo, but he just says, call me Danny.
I was going to say that back to you.
Nah.
I was like, just that.
Weird.
Because we just call him